Olá! Our class today is about verb conjugation. We will start with AR verbs. Okay, so today we are going to learn how to conjugate AR verbs. But first, let's review some concepts. Starting with infinitive. Remember what an infinitive is? The infinitive is the basic form of a verb. In English, you can identify that a verb is in the infinitive form because you have to before it. So when you see like to play, to give, to be, to flunk, to try, etc., you can say, oh, this verb is in its infinitive form, okay? In the basic form. Well, what about in Spanish? In Spanish, you can identify that a verb is in the infinitive form if the verb ends in AR, ER, or IR. So again, we don't have that to in front of the verb. So you need to analyze a word. Okay, is this word a verb? Yes. Does it end in AR, ER, or IR? Yes. So this verb is in its infinitive form. Let's see some examples. AR ending for the infinitive. So you have trabajar. Well, I know that trabajar means to work, to work. How do I know? Well, it's an AR verb, ends in AR, so I know I need to interpret this word as to work. Hablar, to speak or to talk. Comprar, to buy. Mirar, to watch or to see. Comer, to eat. Beber, to drink. Correr, to run. Tener, to have. Vivir, to live. Abrir, to open. Escribir, to write. Compartir, to share. Now let's understand the concept of conjugation. What is conjugation? Well, conjugation is the variation of the form of a verb depending on the subject. It sounds very confusing, but it's not so much. Let's take an example of an irregular verb in English, like the verb to be. We don't say I be, you be, he be. No. So we need to conjugate the verb to be because it's an irregular verb. So you go I am, you are, he is, she is. See, these different forms of the verb to be, this verb here is in the infinitive form. Now, these forms here are not in the infinitive form because this verb is being conjugated, okay? So we call it conjugation. Let's see some more examples. Well, regular verbs in English, you don't see much change when you conjugate it. For instance, the verb to play. So here I can identify, okay, this verb is in the infinitive form, right? Because you see the to here. But here is not in the infinitive form. It's conjugated. But in English, you don't see much change. You go, I play, you play, he plays, she plays, except here, okay? Only in the he, she, or it form, you can see the S here that you add, you see some kind of difference. But in Spanish, you will see a lot of difference at the end of the verb, okay? We're going to talk about it in a minute. But before, let's review the pronouns, okay? Los pronombres. Remember, yo, I. Tú, you, informal. Él, he. Ella, she. Usted, you, formal. Nosotros, we. Vosotros means you all, but only in Spain. We are not going to use this one. Ellos, they. Masculine or a mix of gender. Ellas, they. Only feminine. Ustedes, you guys. Now, how do we conjugate verbs in Spanish? Well, remember, you need to first check the infinitive. Is it an AR, ER, or IR verb? Today, we are going to see only how to conjugate AR verbs. Okay, let's have the verb hablar, for example, to talk or to speak. I know that this verb is in the infinitive form because I see the AR here at the end. It's an AR verb, okay? Now, this part here is called the stem of the verb hablar, okay? Very important. So how do I conjugate hablar? Can I say I to speak, you to speak? No, I need to say I speak, you speak, he speaks. How do I do that in Spanish? Well, the first thing you need to do is to get rid of the infinitive part, this AR part here. And you have only the stem of the verb, okay? So get rid of it. And then you're going to add this stem to all forms. Here we go. Let's add just the stem. See? But finally, you have to put some endings here that will match your pronoun. For instance, for yo, the ending for yo, if it's an AR verb, it's going to be always O. So when you say I speak or I talk, you need to say yo hablo. Okay? So O will go only for yo. If you want to say you, this you is informal, you're talking to your friend, you're talking to a family member, you say tú hablas. So you're going to add AS to the end. AS will go only with tú. But remember, él, ella, usted always use the same form of the verb. And in this case, is an A at the end. So when you say he speaks, you say él habla, ella habla, she speaks. Or you formal, if you're talking to me, if you're talking to your grandmother, so you say usted habla. How about nosotros? Nosotros, we are going to add the ending amos. Nosotros hablamos. If you say we speak Spanish, nosotros hablamos español. And for ellos, ellas y ustedes, remember they always use the same ending of a verb, the same form of a verb, although they don't mean the same thing, you're going to add an. Ellos hablan, ellas hablan, ustedes hablan. So basically, what you need to be careful is that the first step, you are going to drop the AR, you keep the stem, you add the stem for all forms, and then you need to memorize these endings because you're going to apply those endings for any regular AR verb. Any verb that is AR and it's a regular verb, you can just use these endings and then you are conjugating the verb. Okay, so let's try to memorize the endings. So for yo is o, for tú is as, él, ella, usted, a, nosotros, amos, ellos, ellas, ustedes, han. So if you know how to match them, okay, all you have to do is to memorize o, as, a, amos, an. And then after you memorize it, make sure you know how to match them. So you go, o, when do I use o? Just for yo. As, just for tú. A, I have three options, él, ella, usted. Amos, nosotros o nosotras. An, ellos, ellas o ustedes. Let's see some more examples. Cantar means to sing. How do we conjugate the verb cantar? Yo canto, tú cantas, él, ella o usted canta, nosotros o nosotras cantamos, ellos, ellas o ustedes cantan. Okay? So remember, you need to make sure you know how to match your pronouns with the endings. And if you pay attention, cantar is an AR verb. It's a regular verb. What did I do? I got rid of the AR and then I put the stem of the verb all over and added the same endings that we saw before. Now, I would like you to pause this video and try to conjugate the verb trabajar, which means to work. Yo trabajo. Tú trabajas. Él, ella, usted trabaja. Nosotros, nosotras trabajamos. Ellos, ellas, ustedes trabajan. Now let's try to translate some sentences. Make sure you pause the video to do a very good job. I talk on the phone every day. Yo hablo por teléfono todos los días. Número 2. Marta studies math after classes. Marta estudia matemáticas después de las clases. Pedro and Pablo watch TV every day. Pedro y Pablo miran la tele o la televisión todos los días. You guys buy pizza on Fridays. Ustedes compran pizza los viernes. Well, I hope that was helpful. Make sure you review this video if necessary, ask me questions in class, and memorize the endings. O, as, a, amos, an. Gracias.